Welcome to Mornings with the Focus. I'm joined by Justin Walters and Wilson Tupper Jr. Just you guys, reminder for anybody who's tuning in for the first time, Mornings with the Focus is an opportunity to just have a conversation with you all. Hit the comment section, type away, let us know what you're thinking, whether it's about what we're talking about or if it's something else that you guys want to discuss. It's really just that simple. Or you even hit us on Twitter during the show if that's a little bit easier. And I can check the mentions to see what it is that you guys want to get into. As far as today goes, going to start with the WNBA. We had the second of the two Game 3s play last night. The Connecticut Sun won Game 3 against the Dallas Wings 73-58. They used a big third quarter run to take control of the game, outscoring the Wings 23-12 in the period. It was great to see the return of Enrique Gumbawale, even though obviously she wasn't close to 100%. She entered the game in the third quarter. I'm trying to give her team somewhat of obviously like an emotional lift. Anything that she could do on the court was a bonus. I think they were down 8 at that time. That said, the Wings just turned the ball over too much. It was really that simple. 19 turnovers in an elimination game is just not going to do it, man. The Sun were led by veteran wing DeWanna Bonners, 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Alyssa Thomas had 13, 8. 2 and 2, those two being assists and steals, while Jonquel Jones and Natisha Heidemann finished with 11 apiece. The Wings were led by Marina Mabry's 20 points. But, if I have to mention her 20 points, got to mention the 8 turnovers. They turned the ball over 20 times. She was responsible for 8 of them. Uncharacteristically high night of turning the ball over from her. That said, it played a role in Connecticut getting out in transition and just getting easy buckets. And again, 19 turnovers. You're not going to win a game that often turning the ball over that much. The Wings were led by, they also had contributions from Victoria Burton, 10 points and 6 rebounds. She also had 4 assists. Terry McCowan came off the bench and had 8 points, 12 rebounds, and a couple emphatic blocks. The tough thing for the Wings was losing some of their key players when they did. Does this series go differently if Enrique's 100% going into the playoffs? Who knows? I don't know that they were for sure beat Connecticut, but I do know they're a totally different team when she's at 100%. They got Satu Sabali back at the end of the year. I don't think you really forgot to see her fully 100%. That said, I appreciated the fight that the Wings had. They didn't go out soft at all. They didn't get swept. Connecticut had to work for this. So credit to the Wings for a solid season. Interested to see what happens in the offseason because they got a couple key pieces that might be hitting free agency. Some of those pieces are players that could be difference makers on other teams, which means the Wings probably should want to retain them. But as far as that goes, that concludes the first round. So on Sunday, we have the first day of the semis. The semis is a 5-game series. The Sun are going to go on to face the champion Chicago Sky Sunday at 8 p.m. And then Seattle faces Las Vegas at 4 p.m. Vegas has home court in their series, and Chicago should have home court in their series. So it's going to be fun. Again, best of 5. I think the first game is on ESPN at 4 on Sunday. The second game is on ESPN 2 at 8 p.m. on Sunday. So be looking forward to that. 2 high quality matchups for a chance to go compete for a championship. And that's all you can ask. If you're Chicago, you're trying to get back there for another year and win back to back. Seattle would love to do it once again. You got so many different storylines of players that are, this is their last year. And if you're someone like Las Vegas, you're trying to get this done for the first time. Break through with your MVP candidate and get this done under your new head coach. So we'll see how this goes, man. But very excited to see both series that start on Sunday. Again, best of 5 in the semifinals. All right, Justin, what you got for us NFL-wise? I already know a little bit of housekeeping before we get into it. The Cowboys, huge injury, Tyron Smith. They don't know if it's season-ending. It is a significant hamstring injury. Several reporters said that it was something as simple like he tore his hamstring, like clean tear. Might be out for several months. No one said it's season ending, but I don't know how they're going to work around it. I don't know if they have that answer on the team. We shall see. And also tonight's the final week of preseason, so looking forward to see how that goes. But Jesse, your thoughts on Tyron Smith, and then we'll jump into your topics.
I guess on the bright side, the Cowboys have the most cap money left, which means nothing. But it's kind of just bad decisions in the offseason bit them, or biting them. You know, you got Gallup out for 6 weeks, and or whatever, however long. I'm sorry. And then you know, you add this on top of that. You know, you let a receiver and a tackle, starting offensive tackle, walk away. So I mean, obviously you can't predict injury, but with Tyron, he's good to miss 6 to 8 games a year anyway. So this hurts, you know. And I read something this morning, I guess, that it might be worse than what they thought. You know, it's like a hamstring tear on the back of his knee, and he might, you know, could at his age and injury issues, not man at age, but it could be a career for him, you know, because it's not like he hasn't had injuries before, and you know, that's tough for them because they've invested a lot in him, and you know, regardless of their reasons for Leo Collins is on track to start for Cincinnati this year. You know, you drafted a tackle who is extremely raw, who you've been playing at guard all year, you know, all summer. So I don't know what the move is there. I mean, Terrence Steele was a swing tackle last year, but he used the replacement at right tackle. So, you know, do you go try to make a move for one of the guys we talked about, whether it's, you know, like we talked about Leatherwood or Wynn, or you try to get a retired guy like Jason Peters or Whitworth or something like that? I really don't know what their plan is, but I mean, they do have the money to offer someone, but obviously you're not getting anything of close to Tyron Smith's caliber player with, you know, at this point in the season, you know, unless you're giving up something. Now, regardless, you're not getting it anyway. There's nothing you're giving up to get that kind of guy. So they're in a rough spot, man, and just their arrogance or their whatever you want to call it, stubbornness and wanting things a certain kind of way, you know, letting Cooper and Collins go for really nothing, really absolutely nothing. You know, you cut Collins and you gave a fifth for Cooper, and you got a fifth back or whatever. So, you know, you lost 2 of your better players for nothing, and now it's biting you. It's biting you. You know what I mean? And now you're going to be playing, you know, as bad as we thought they were going to be at receiver this year at the second and third spot, they might be worse at tackle, you know, and running game wasn't great anyway. So it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot on Dak's plate, unfortunately, with that contract, and interesting to see. And also on the offensive coordinator to try to cover these things. So it'll be tough. It's already going to be – the Eagles were already closing in on them. So we're going to see where this goes for them. It's going to be a lot of pressure on that defense as well, I'm saying.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those things we get, you know, entering the last week of preseason. You know, we got those 17 days before, or, you know, 15 to 17 days before the regular season officially begins. I think we're going to see it, like, obviously we know there's going to be the cut down days. I think this might be the first time we see what this new preseason schedule, how it impacts the league from a transaction standpoint. Because after the third week, obviously you have to cut down to 53. Cool, we get that part of it. But things like this, these injuries that happen early, that's 15 days to try to figure out how to work around things. And I'm using the Cowboys as an example. They're not the only ones that are going to have big injuries, or where you find out maybe I need to start moving players, where before maybe it would just be there's 8 days. And you got to worry about game planning and stuff initially. You can't focus on that, and then that happens midway through the season. You can get out in front of some of these injuries, possibly, or looking at your roster, seeing what some injuries are. But like, all right, I know I'm getting them back. Let's work around it. Let's go get these things. Or, all right, well, I was thinking about I'm going to keep player X, but this injury is bad timing. Maybe I could get around to getting someone who can replace them now versus waiting until the offseason next year because of what's coming off the back of trucks of teams. You don't know, but I'm interested to see how teams, how good teams use this 15-day window to add to their roster, because that's a lot of time. Like, that's almost low-key like an extra free agency period, a lesser free agent period, obviously, to make things move. Like, think about with the Patriots having Isaiah Wynn available. How many folks are we gonna have where maybe they're 53? They can maybe slip some folks on their practice squad or whatever initially to trade, just to see if they can trade somebody before letting them go. You know what I'm saying? Like that's 15 days or whatever. Like that's, to me, that's a lot.
That's a great point. Something you don't think about is, teams that may have, say you have 4 running backs you like or 4 wide receivers you like, and you only can keep 3. You might trade a guy who's higher on, and if you like the other guy, for a pick that you wouldn't have done in the past, instead of trying to put a guy through the whole free agency before you put him on your practice squad and hope he comes back. Like that might open up a lot of that because of the time and knowing you get a guy early enough and you have this much time to, trying to get him ready for week 1 or at least, week 1, week 2. So, you have that time that you never had in the past to make up for these things. And that's actually a great idea, a great thought. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking from a transaction standpoint, man, that opens a lot of stuff. Like, again, good teams are going to find a way to capitalize on that window. Like, I could get something right now, before you find out that maybe that person doesn't play for me anymore, or that there's something even like, oh no, like any buyer beware type reasons pop up. It's just.
Well, now you don't want to bid. You don't want to have to bid on players.
Yep.
You don't have to try to make a deal like, okay, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. Now you can trade for them directly.
And how many times is it teams that found out they missed on player X or whatever, and you got a chance maybe a year or 2 in to go get them, and you be like, oh yeah, it didn't work for you, but we should have drafted you. I'm going to get my guy.
Right.
You got Wyatt, Leatherwood, like things like that. Like it could simply be bad fit.
Kevin Jenkins.
It could simply be bad fit. And we've seen this before. I'm trying to think. Someone comes to mind. Laken Tomlinson comes to mind. The Lions took him first round when he came out. People felt like he was a bust or whatever. 5 years later, ends up on the Niners. Solid. He just got a contract in free agency with the Jets.
C.J. Henderson might be heading that way.
Yeah. So it's not like it's something that doesn't happen. It's just it can happen. It could possibly happen earlier, and you can get compensation for it.
Right.
Like you won't get exactly what you paid for. However, it could possibly be more than that 3rd round comp pick.
Some of these guys are about to get cut. So,
yep.
If that's the case, anything you get back is a plus.
Right.
And, one of the questions I had before the past, written down was, we don't see a whole lot of player for player trades, but maybe this is the time to see it. The bottom of the roster, hey, we're sort of tackle, you're sort of DN. Hey, we got a guy, let's swap him. Just more of that stuff instead of trading picks, because these are more like scratch-off picks. Maybe you don't want to give up a pick in the draft. So, we have a guy that is our 54th player, and you have a guy that might be your 54th player. Let's make the trade instead of, like you said, let them go to free agency.
Yeah, I just think cut down this year from a transaction standpoint would be interesting. Smart front offices are going to capitalize on this, man. I really feel like it, because every year, how many times do we hear, like, sometimes initially after a draft, or maybe 2 years after a draft, that there was a guy they really liked and they passed on because folks couldn't get on the same page. You could legit right that wrong immediately. Just immediately.
Yeah. Also, I know with Bill Parcells just always have the saying, they always call in any first round pick, they'll give them an opportunity because somebody saw something in them to make them a first round pick. So nowadays we got more and more of these first and second round picks, or teams are souring on them quick. You know what I mean? So teams are going to give those guys a shot. Just like we said, if the kid from Georgia a couple of years ago, Isaiah Wilson, teams are still calling him back, and he clearly said he doesn't like football. You know what I mean? So if that's the case, these the first round picks are going to get shots.
And that's the thing is, and it's not always an indictment on the players. You don't choose where you're drafted from. Like, what if they're not taken to the coaching, or the coaching is not good, or is your team even healthy from a culture standpoint? Did you have a plan for said player when you brought them in your building, and then you got mad because it wasn't what you thought it was? But was it because your plan was bad to begin with? Like, there's so many different variables. Because again, we see this all the time. Oh, so and so was a first round pick. They were a third round pick. Oh, they're a bust. Da 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 da. Look at them getting their career back, or were they just finally used correctly? Like, did they resurrect a career, or were they failed to begin with? Like, we don't know. We just truly don't know. But all right, man, let's go get into your topics, man. I know you got some stuff.
All right. I don't know if you got the list, the picture I sent you.
Yeah. I got it. Let me go. I'm gonna go pull that up now.
I was looking at the odds of the top 10 teams, the teams with the highest percentage, in Vegas of winning the Super Bowl, and I figured it'd be cool if each of us could pick one of these top 10 teams and say why they're not going to win the Super Bowl.
One of the top 10 ones. Okay.
Then I got the bottom 10. And we're gonna pick one that's gonna win the Super, that could win Super, or how they could win Super.
All right, where you want to start at? Oh man, all right. Top 10, bottom 10. Let's start with the bottom 10. You want to go first?
If I had to choose, I'm gonna go. On that list is Pittsburgh, the Giants, Lions.
Oh, my bad. Hold on. Let me do this for folks. My bad. So people can see this while you're talking about it. Give me a second. That might be able to help. Maybe. Is this gonna go on the screen correctly without any issue? All right. Go ahead.
All right. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Detroit. I don't know why. It was between Detroit and Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go Detroit. I went Detroit only because they're in the NFC, and it's an easier run. Whereas I think Pittsburgh may be a better team. Currently a better team, and that defense could get them a couple games. But there's a long road of AFC teams on that Super Bowl run that they would have to beat, and being able to outscore a Kansas City and a Buffalo with Mitch or Pickett, I don't know if you can do it twice. So that just makes me go Detroit. Detroit's a physical team, tough to play. Maybe that pass rush gets going. Maybe a couple guys in the secondary, Okuda steps up and, they get something from him. Jameson Williams come back, provide a burst, provide something for them. And they already have a South. Chark has a good year. St. Brown's going to break out. I'm sure of that. He already broke out last year. I think St. Brown's going to have a great year. Swift becomes a top 5 to 10 running back. Offensive line is dominant. They're a physical team. No one wants to play him anyway. So really it's just getting to the point where, Green Bay's tough, but Green Bay wins the division every year. But they take a step back offensively and you take a step forward offensively and your physicality gets to them. And now you're really just dealing with, the 3 or 4, the Bucks, Rams, and 49ers really. So maybe I'm leaving someone out, but Philly. So, it's possible. Not likely, but, you're picking from the bottom 10. So out of these teams, I think there's a possibility. Golf has a solid year. And, again, they're not asking Golf to be great because they're going to be a physical team anyway. So I think out of these teams, I'd go with them.
All right, I'm going Pittsburgh just because out of this group, there's only one of these teams that have Mike Tomlin at the helm, right? And we've seen even in a different era or whatever to a degree we've seen this story from Pittsburgh before. Get top-notch running back, upgrade offensive line, dynamic pass catchers, check, defense, borderline dominant, quarterback. Don't mess this up. Don't mess it up. Yeah, I know. I don't think they're going to be able to get into a shootout with any of those good teams. However, it looks like the plan is to not get in the shootout to begin with. That's the plan, is to play good defense. And Najee, here's 25 carries. Hey, Deontay, here's a couple end arounds. Here's some short passes. Someone go make a play. And the addition of Pickens has me excited because not that many teams have 3 number 1 caliber DBs. Somebody's gonna end up on Pickens, and it's gonna be advantage him, which makes it for a quarterback. And it makes it a little bit easier, and also everything to be kind of building off play action. And yeah, you're not gonna have what some of those other top tier teams have. But look, man, physicality as a mindset with how you go about your business on both sides, it goes a long way. Also, Mike Tomlin. Yeah, that's just there. I am. That's what I have. Heck of an argument for me, Mike Tomlin. Yeah.
Definitely can't argue that. And again, like you said, in some of those close games, having a receiver that can go make a play for you, that could be the difference. Run the ball, be physical, and put one up, and maybe Pickens make a play, maybe Claypool makes a play. Deontay can beat most corners and can make some stuff happen after the catch. So yeah, I mean that would have to be their path. Dominant defense and just be consistent on offense. 17 to 24 points a game, and like I said, you're counting on a play from one of these guys.
All right, so I changed it. Here's the top 10 list. You want to go first there, or?
I'm not gonna cheat. I'm not gonna go take Dallas because that's cheating. I'm gonna go one of the top. I'll try to pick one of the top 5. If I had to choose, I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say them. I'm gonna go Rams. I don't think the Rams are gonna do it. And again, being in the NFC, it's possible. I just think a lot of things broke their way last year, and things are kind of different this year. They brought in Robinson and got good players, and I just want to see. I want to see more from Stafford. And I defended Stafford for the Lions. That the team, all his arm talent and all that, but he's prone to give games away. Prone to throw to. I mean, he gave a couple games away early first quarter last year. And just with him and McVay and that offense, and I don't know, just I could just see the second year being a little different for them. And again, the NFC is far from loaded, so they don't really have an insane path to get there. But I didn't want to. I was going between Kansas City and Green Bay with the whole receiver thing and, not being able to step up. But I have confidence. I have more confidence in their offense. I have some confidence in their offenses using the weapons they do have. Green Bay with 2 running backs and just Randy Reed and Mahomes with whatever they decide to do. So I'm gonna go Rams.
And this is for top 10 teams that won't make it.
Won't win Super Bowl.
Okay. Hate to do this. Tampa Bay and that offensive line and all those injuries up front. I don't see how you're going to get around that. That man cannot move. And one of the, as soon as you get Tom, that offensive line has to be phenomenal. And it can't be because you're missing, like 2 of your starters on your interior offensive line. They're gone for the year. And sometimes, like in some schemes for some teams, the interior offensive line doesn't have to be that great. Conversely, for other teams, it needs to be phenomenal. We don't need to know, those guys don't have to be household names, but we need to know that they don't let the pocket, they're able to routinely create a sound pocket, especially for somebody who can't leave it. I think that might damage them like a bit, their chances this year. Good interior offensive linemen don't grow on trees. I know when we talk about this, people that you might be able to trade for, what have you. No one's auctioning off interior offensive linemen. That I can guarantee you. That's just if you have some that are at the bottom level just serviceable, you're not trading them. You're probably locking them up early, so you don't have to pay them what they're fully worth. If they're above average, they're probably already locked in, and if they're the level above that, you happily pay them. We just talked about what Lakin just got paid, and I think Lakin's in that very good starter place, and he just got paid well. I don't know how they get over that. I don't know how they deal with it. And even if I think they work around it, I think that's going to hurt their chances in terms of getting out the NFC. Because if we think about all these teams in the NFC that are the teams we consider near the top or true contenders or whatever, what do they all have in common? They all have interior presences on their defensive front. Like a heavy interior presence. And you're going to be struggling in that area. Green Bay went to go, what did they get? Wyatt to add to Kenny Clark, they're not playing around with that. The Rams, we could just stop at Aaron Donald, but we also know, they continue to add to that. Who else? San Fran, Eric and Javon. Like, if Philly, I know Philly's not on this list, but Fletcher and Jordan Davis. Like, I don't think Tampa can survive if that pocket's not great on a regular basis or clean on a regular basis. I think that's something that could really hurt them. Outside of them, like, I know you still have Shaq Mason, which is, it's a luxury that you still have him. That's great, but a center, and like Ryan Jensen was a very good center in this league. Not okay. Like, I don't know, man. I think that's gonna hurt. Again, if there was a different type of quarterback that could move a little bit, I'd be like, maybe it's not that big of an issue. He's not moving out of that pocket. So that's where I'm at. Tampa Bay would be the one that doesn't make it. I think that, and then we know, like, what's the one thing that bothers him anyways? Interior pressure. Mm-hmm. And you can't prevent that. Look, man, we saw Aaron Donald wreck a game last year.
Yep. Yeah.
With those guys healthy, so we'll see, man.
Nah, it makes a ton of sense. Like I said, that's been his issue his whole career. He could make up for a tackle, but direct pressure up the middle is an issue. And being injured and adding these people late, that's gonna be tough.
I truly think it is. All right, what you got next?
All right, last thing I got. I'll be brief. Is the number two, the best number two, so the top number 2 wide receiver and the top number 2 corners. I got a list, but if you want me to read it.
No. Go ahead.
Here's the guys I came up with. All right, and some of them might not be up there, but I got Allen Robinson. I got Hunter Renfrow, just for the sake of, I guess he's their number 2. I got either Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, whoever their number 2 is.
Mike Williams.
I got Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Brandon Ayuk.
Sheesh.
Tyler Lockett, Chris Godwin, T. Higgins. And I what's his face? I meant to put him up there. The Bills guy, he's not there yet, but maybe
Gabriel Davis.
It could be. He's not there yet.
Dude, some of those teams are blessed. Those are your number 2. Like, that's a nice list.
Right.
Some of those teams are in a good place. I guess the Raiders one is tough because obviously you have Devontae, but yeah, he's a receiver, so yeah. Because I'm thinking about Waller, but
right.
But nah. So like Renfrow, but all I heard was very good compliments to those teams' respective number 1s.
Right.
Like, that's all I heard was those teams are lucky enough to have a dynamic duo. Like, keeping tight ends out of the picture, like, that's a nice pair of wide receivers, honestly. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's your number 2, I feel like those teams are in some decent places.
The thing about it is, looking at it now, it's like all these teams are playoff teams besides Seattle. And we know why Seattle's not. You know what I mean? It's not.
And that's not the fault of the receivers, so right. Yeah.
So, I mean, it says a lot about your team building. Like I said, these guys are, a couple of them was number 1s on their teams last year.
Yeah.
On different teams, or their own, on whatever team. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what Waddle does this year, what Devontae does. And Ayuk, not just because, the camp stuff, but we've been waiting for him to break out, but having the new quarterback and, I'm interested to see what he does. Even Allen Robinson, I'm interested to see what he does. Just a lot of these guys and these with the new systems, new quarterbacks, new whatever. It's just be interesting having, again, like I said, with Waddle next to Hill, with that offense, no one can even picture. Like, I've heard McDaniel talk about Waddle. They've been sitting him out of practice, just whatever, some little injury, but he sounds super excited about it. And the things that they're going to do with him, we probably can't even imagine that right now.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, all I hear is stress for opposing defenses. It's just pure stress. Like you said, with Tyreek's enough to deal with as is, right? As is. Think about how open McCole Hardman was his entire time in Kansas City. And it was just about him capitalizing or not capitalizing on those opportunities, right? Remember when Sammy Watkins was over there? Sammy received nothing but one-on-ones. Because the threat of Tyreek just, you have to account for it, right? Jalen Waddle's going to get everyone's second best corner, and it's going to be one-on-ones. And in that offense, you're going to be asking people at times to stay with Jalen Waddle on deep crossers. Or just to drag, like, run after Jalen Waddle. Sure, we're going across the field, but you can do it. No, you probably can't. No, you can't. And I think just like the speed outs and just deeper out routes that might start becoming a thing for, in the Niners playbook, I think that's going to be in play for the Dolphins as well.
Right.
Where you're able to come up to the line and you're able to run speed outs. Because who's going to stick with them?
Right. I mean, and you got to remember this was one of the best returners in college football. Now you're giving the ball in space.
Yep.
Way different than last year. Last year he almost became a possession receiver,
and he did well at it.
Double coverage. And
yep.
100. I think he had a rookie record, 100-some catches,
yep.
105 catches, 106 catches last year,
yep.
which wasn't even what he was known for. You know what I mean? So now you add in the ability to get deep, the ability to catch screens and anything in space and do what he does best. He could maybe less catches, but more yards. But I think the other thing I had was the number 2 corners.
Oh wow! Okay.
Marcus Peters.
Okay.
Greg Newsome.
That's my guy.
Not a lot of number 2s. It was a little less than what I thought. To be honest with you. A lot of number 2s are potential, like guys.
Okay.
Hoping.
Go through the list. I want to hear them because I want to see if I'm agree that they're just potential or will they slide over to.
Yeah, I don't have a lot.
Okay.
Marcus Peters, Greg Newsome. I got Eric Stokes.
Okay.
I guess it's Eric Stokes. Asante Samuel Jr., James Bradbury, Byron Jones. I mean, I probably could have put some nickels in. I didn't put in, like a Kenny Moore or even Gardner Johnson because they're nickel guy, the positions they play. But those are the number 2s I have.
All right, I don't step out there often off the homer tip, but I will step out there because dude deserves respect. Emmanuel Mosley needs to be put on that list. Doesn't get enough respect for what he does. He's just really good at his job, and people have this thing with corners these days where if they're not getting interceptions, they don't exist, which I vehemently disagree with. Your job is to not let someone catch the ball. That's it. Don't give up catches, right? That's your job. I understand everyone loves a playmaker. Right? If you make someone disappear, that goes a long way too. But I think that's somebody who he has a chance this year to fully step into everybody sees him for what he could be as a number 2. But I think he's quietly been a solid number 2 since he's been there. And I think he's gotten better each and every year. He just doesn't get any credit for it at all, honestly. Because even last year when they were going through everything they were going through at corner, people didn't target him. They targeted everybody else but him. And, you heard me ranting towards the end of the year. It got so bad they would leave a rookie alone outside. They definitely left Mosley alone, and they attacked the slot. And Mosley's not a big name. And playing in that division, you know who you're going against. You mentioned Lockett. You mentioned DK. He's been in wars with those guys. DK, didn't have too much fun against DK. He's had some success against Lockett, Hopkins at times. But I think that's one of those guys that's up there. He just doesn't have a big name as everybody else. But he solidly does his job. But yeah, like you said, it's a short list. It's a very short list. I would also submit DJ Reed for the Jets. I don't think he's. I mean, clearly, I think they feel that Sauce is their number 1 guy. But I think DJ's another one of those guys like Mosley where they just quietly do their job, and it's not exciting. It's not flashy. You just don't hear their names that often. And to me, that means that's your job as a number 2, right? That we don't hear your name, that they're not picking on you over and over again. So, but I'm anxious to see who pops up throughout the course of the year. But yeah, like you said, it's a short list. Short list. A very short list. Man, now you got me thinking more. I'm trying to think. Did we forget anybody that's a number 2? I don't think we did. I don't think we forgot anybody that's a number two corner.
None I can think of. I mean, unless it's like you said, a rookie who you're hoping steps up.
Right. Y'all trying to stay away from rookies.
Right.
Would Christian Fulton be one in Tennessee?
I think he's the one. Right?
You feel like he's the one? Okay.
Unless you know.
Oh, okay. So, is he the de facto one until Caleb's like routinely on the field?
Yeah, because if right now they have, basically Farley's competing with McCrary for number 2 right now.
Okay.
So Fulton's a sure thing for them right now.
Okay. So, based on Farley and the evolution of Farley, then we can slide Fulton there. Okay.
Right.
So that's fair. I think that's fair. I'm trying to think. Yeah, then some of the other spots, they're rookies, so you can't throw them out there yet. They got to prove it. I think that's fair. All right, man, if you have nothing else, man, just want to remind everybody again, tonight begins the final week of preseason. I think we got 2 games tonight. Check those out. We'll probably talk about them a little bit tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday already? Or is today Thursday?
Today's.
Wow, this week's going by fast. Okay, so we'll talk about the 2 games that take place tonight, tomorrow morning, as we close out the week. But thank you guys for tuning in, whether it's now or a little bit later. Appreciate it. And don't forget, hit the comment section to let us know what you guys want to talk about, what you're open to discussing, and even during the show, you can do the same thing. I'm able to check the mentions, but y'all have a great day. Thanks for tuning in to Mornings with the Focus.